Well, I'm glad that I can support Reverend Greg Pelley while he is on sabbatical. When I served a congregation in Florida, I had a similar opportunity. It helped my ministry, and the congregation got to hear some great preaching. But it doesn't always work out that way. In the middle of a sermon, a man in a congregation got up and walked outside. The wife went running up to the pastor after the service to apologize for her husband's rude behavior. The pastor thanked her for her apology and said that he had noticed her husband's strange behavior and was worried that he had said something offensive, or if there was a family emergency that he should offer prayer for. The wife replied, Oh, no, Pastor, no, not at all. You see, my husband has always had a problem with sleepwalking. My hope today is that none of you will have that excuse. Today, I am speaking about our future, not our past. There is a familiar saying that today is the first day of the rest of your life. In reflecting on this, I think that you and I have a vast array of choices before us. What path will we take as time marches on? What kind of life do we want to live as we move forward toward our eventual death at some point in the future? Are we content in what we have done previously, or do we want to make changes in our lives? We get up each day and can do a wide variety of things that beckon to us. Some of us go to work. Some go to school. Some have volunteer activities. And others have leisure pursuits. We many times live our lives as if there will be another day and another day after that. This thought continues into the far distance in our mind. But what would you do if for some reason you found out that today was the last time you'd see the sunrise? Who would you visit? What words would you say? How would you feel? I suggest that you do this exercise daily. It's not to get you so that you get depressed thinking about death, but rather to take advantage of the hours in the best way. Our theme this month is celebrating blessings. There are many ways that one can interpret this theme. A blessing can be gaining approval for some act. A blessing can mean a special favor, mercy, or benefit such as the blessings of liberty. It can mean a favor or gift bestowed by God, thereby bringing happiness. It can be the invoking of God's favor upon a person, like a son was giving his father's blessing. Or it could be praise, devotion, worship, especially grace said before a meal. A blessing is something that is given or received. Reverend Elia Kemmler said, "So what then does it mean to offer a blessing, to be a blessing? To bless someone or someone is to, something or someone is to invoke its wholeness, to help remind the person or thing you are blessing of its essence, its sacredness, its beauty, and to help remind yourself that too. Blessing does not fix anything. It is not a cure. A blessing does not fix us. It does not instill health or well-being or strength. Instead, it reminds us that those things are already there within us. Victoria Safford wrote a short meditation on what it means to be a blessing to another. It is titled Set in Stone. Listen closely for the blessing. In a cemetery once, an old one in New England, I found a strangely soothing epitaph. The name of the deceased and her dates had been scoured away by wind and rain, but there was a carving of a tree with roots and branches, which was a classic 19th century motif, and among them the words, "She attended well and faithfully to a few worthy things." At first, this seemed to me a little meager, a little stingy on the part of her survivors, but I wrote it down and have thought about it since, and now I can't imagine a more proud or satisfying legacy. She attended well and faithfully to a few worthy things. Every day, Victoria goes on to say, every day I stand in danger of being struck by lightning and have the obituary in the local paper say, for all the world to see, she attended frantically and ineffectually to a great many unimportant, meaningless details. So how do you want your obituary to read? He got all the dishes washed and dried before playing with his children in the evening. She balanced her checkbook with meticulous precision and never missed a day of work. Missed a lot of sunsets, missed a lot of love, missed a lot of risk, missed a lot. But her money was in order. She answered all her calls, all her email, all her voicemail, but along the way, she forgot to answer the call to service and compassion and forgiveness, first and foremost, of herself. He gave and forgave sparingly, without radical intention, without passion or conviction. She could not or would not hear the calling of her heart. How will it read? How does it read? If you had to name a few worthy things to which you attend well and faithfully, what, I wonder, would they be? She attended well and faithfully to a few worthy things. This story prompted me to do some reflection on my own life. I'm now 73 years old. My mother died at age 62 and my father died at age 69. My grandparents fared a little bit better in longevity, with two living into their 80s. May I be so lucky to reach that age. But if I were to get run down crossing the street tonight, what would be the words written about me in the obituary in the Wilmington newspaper? What would people learn about how I chose to live my life? What are the few worthy things for which I will be remembered? Will it only be that I served in our ministry for umpteen years at this and that place? Will it be for the work that I did in a UUA district? I hope that people will tell stories about how I was a kind and generous soul. I hope that I will be thought of in a way that honors our faith. In retirement, I have continued to be involved in racial and social justice endeavors. I currently lead the Delaware Coalition to dismantle the new Jim Crow. I am a mentor to a minister who is in preliminary fellowship. We meet monthly via Zoom for us to discuss her ministry and to help her progress. I choose to continue offering my gifts to others, and will do so until I no longer can do so. I have a poster in my office at home of Mark Twain, who I read since my early youth. I've loved everything that Mark Twain ever wrote. I believe that he was a religious liberal who understood the human condition far better than most of us ever will. Now, on this poster is a quote of his that I have enjoyed through the years. Let us endeavor so to live that when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. Let us endeavor so to live that when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. We know that the world now is facing many, many challenges. There's war in Ukraine, racist killings in Buffalo, children being massacred in Uvalde. Food shortages are affecting millions of people, and substandard housing is found right here in Newcastle County. We are witnessing Congress exposing the failed coup attempt on our democracy, which came close to succeeding. So what can we do that will provide a blessing in how we live? I have known other people who have used their lives as a blessing to others. When I served the congregation in Florida, there was a couple, Wynn and Joyce Levy, who were stalwart members. They had retired to Florida after having successful careers in New York City. He had been successful in advertising. She had been a professional actor and singer. They could have come to Florida to relax and take it easy. But instead, they worked hard at the church and in the community. Joyce edited the newsletter, organized and printed the order of service, and wrote copy to get our name in the papers. In addition, she helped to establish a thriving community theater in Vero Beach that is still going strong today. Wynn sang in the choir, helped form a barbershop quartet in the church in which I sang first tenor, served on the board, and worked with the youth, among other things. He also saw a need for a mentorship program for teens in the local high school, and he single-handedly created it, and it is still running. Long after Wynn died, he recruited other mentors to come and work with him as well. Their lives and examples motivated other men and women to do similar actions that blessed others. Let me give you one more example of someone who chose to bless others. When I came to Delaware, Wilmington, in 2000 as the new district executive of the Joseph Priestley District, which ended as an entity a few years ago when regions were created by the UUA, Janet, my wife, and I were living in a rental house near Dickinson High School. Because it was close, we started attending Mill Creek when it was still renting space in the Chinese American Community Center. Reverend Nancy Dean was the minister then. One of the first people to introduce themselves to me was Frank McCarter. Frank didn't share his rich history he had with Unitarian Universalism. He was too modest. But I found his name in the JPD files. Starting with the creation of the district in 1962, he was on the nominating committee. I later learned that he had been the president of the JPD in 1986. He helped start the Chalice Lighter program in the district to grow our faith and guided it for several years. Frank taught fundraising training for congregations throughout the district as well. He was very active at First Unitarian Church and was board president there in 1977. In the late 1980s, Frank was appointed the new congregation organizer for a new church in the northwestern area of New Castle County. You might know it as Mill Creek. Frank poured his energy into this congregation, and he bought the land on which this building sits and held it in trust until the congregation was ready to build. I know for certain that he provided a substantial amount for the building campaign. Summing up Frank McCarter's life, I would say that he provided many blessings to our Unitarian Universalist faith. So how are you a blessing to another in your life? What actions can you take in the time left for you? How will you make a difference? Rebecca Parker said, "Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor. You must answer this question: what will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world." The earlier reading from Reverend Robert Weston stated that a year begins today. Our whole life is ahead of us. What has been is now in the past. We can't do anything about that. But our future is before us for however much time we have left before our death. If today is the first day of the rest of your life, how will you choose to use it? Weston said, "But today I start another year, whatever the month or season. It is what lies before me that concerns me now." He ended it with, "Someone might say, it all depends on what the year may bring. But what I make of it depends on me." What will you do? Amen.